Welcome, friends of the Crawford, to our part 2 of our Arthur Hill tribute, and it's celebrating his work 100 years on the anniversary of his passing in 1921. And we're standing today on Sharman Crawford Street at what is now the Crawford College of Art and Design building. Such an iconic building that I know we've bumped into so many of you on, all through those labyrinth corridors on that annual graduate exhibition award night that happens every year. So we're here today to talk about the building, what was here beforehand, and how it came to be now the Crawford College of Art. So this site here started off its life actually in 1805 as a brewery by Samuel Abbott, known as the Arnott's Brewery. And by the mid-1850s, it was producing 50,000 barrels of stout a year. And very interesting, it was very much in keeping with what was happening in its surroundings, because there was a cooperage just nearby, there was its own maltings nearby, and that's how it started off its life. And by the late 1800s, it became a soup kitchen. By the mid to late 1800s, there was an increased demand in the bigger context for mechanization and industry. And that was really recognized here in wanting to create an institute whereby the general public, any man or woman in Ireland, could come to study the technical skills needed in industry with these large operating and maintenance of large machineries that would now be required to further Ireland and Cork's own progress. The Technical Instruction Committee of Ireland saw this need and were working very hard behind the scenes to address it. So they went to Westminster and to Dublin to secure a lot of funding. Now, this is where the Crawford family feature, because it was Arthur Sharman Crawford who was chairperson of that committee, and also at the same time director of the Beamish and Crawford Brewery. So he donated these lands on which we're standing today to the committee for the purpose of this institute to be developed. And by 1912, it was recognised as a wonderful up and running institute for technical development among the general, any man, woman in Ireland was without any means or without any religious connotations were able to attend to further their development in technical skills along the mechanical and electrical engineering, physics, and also even including botany. So we're back to 1910 and to Arthur Hill's belief that architectural designs should take cognizance of their location, their climate, local building materials, and the bigger context with their designs. And again, Arthur stayed true to that belief. And he favoured again in this building the palette of the red brick offset by the white limestone and this Flemish bond that he used on the red brick. And we can see his signatory pieces here again of using the white limestone for the coins, of the keystones in the architrave and in the sash windows above on the first floor. So true again to the design that has stood the test of time here in Cork City. This was deemed to be an Edwardian classical revival building, and it has now in 1979 became home to the Crawford College of Art and Design, where today still it is a very much contributory factor to the local community in the wonderful exhibitions that they host every year in their graduate shows. So lovely to see again that the building is still a place of further development and learning for people here in Cork City after they moved in 1979 from where they were housed at that stage, which was our own building, the Crawford Art Gallery. And we're going to pop down there now and have a look at that amazing, probably one of the most loved of Arthur Hill's designs in Cork City. So friends, we have brought you right down here to conclude our Arthur Hill tribute with what is probably the dearest building to ourselves, it being the Crawford's home now of the Crawford Art Gallery. And I suppose if you close your eyes, we're going to bring you right back in time, back to what was originally here, back in 1724. And as Matthew, in his video that you might have seen last week, very correctly said, we'd have been standing quayside here with the ships coming right in along beside me off the River Lee. So 1724, this was the custom house for Cork, designed by an architect that we're not exactly certain who. There's been suggestions that it was Sir Edward Pearce, and there's other suggestions that it may be possibly an Anglo-Dutch influence, and that the Red House in Youghal has been triggered as having many of the similar attributes to the design of this original building, so possibly a Dutch architect. And this building, as we're looking at it here, would have faced out onto the waterfront, and then we just had this face of it here. And what it was, again, similar, the red brick, the white limestone, offsetting each other. And in the long room, which is on the first floor here, and we may remember, we've lovely memories of the 30th Friends celebration, and we were all sitting in the long room with the glass in hand, toasting the plans for the future of the building. Well, at the time, back in 1724, that room would have been furnished with long tables full of clerks and scriveners with their pots of ink and their quills, with their ledgers out, documenting all the goods coming in and out and of the city, and all of the activity that would have happened at quayside at the time. So 1724, the original custom house, but by 1810, the quaysides were becoming too small for the large craft vessels that were coming in. So they moved out to their new building further downstream that we were standing under there for the Port of Cork, CorkAbout there recently. And this building then lay idle from 1810 to 1832, when the Royal Cork Institute moved in. So they took over this building, and for the next while, until they were the forerunner to UCC, and until UCC was up and running, they moved out then into UCC. There's so much movement in this building, back and forth, that trying to get your head around it was quite a task. But Dagmar clearly gave us a lot of wonderful notes, and we've been able to work with them. And what happened then in 1850 was that the government funded School of Design took over, and that's when things really flourished from an art point of view. And after 1850, there was a big call out from the Lord Mayors of Cork and from lots of people within the community that this building really needed to be upgraded to accommodate the number of students that it was now facilitating, and to be able to exhibit the work of the students. So there was a committee put together in 1876, and this committee was petitioning for the funds in order to be able to extend the building to accommodate all of its new students. And honorary secretaries of this committee were James Brennan, the headmaster of the school, and Arthur Hill. And in 1880, their efforts were finally heard by His Majesty's government, and it was agreed that that the people of Cork were deserving of a building to suit its needs. So a figure of £1,000 was put forward. However, as we can see, that was never going to happen on £1,000. So James Brennan again put appeal out to the local country, rural gentry to say that funds were required, and that it would be the city's taxpayers who would be paying for the maintenance of the building afterwards. William Horatio Crawford stepped up to the mark with £20,000 to donate to the building that was to become the home of Crawford Art Gallery. In 1884, this extension was added, which was the design of Arthur Hill. And again, he laid true to taking context of what was here already, and he looked to the Queen Anne house across the road and to the existing custom house when designing his structure. Now, initially it was hoped that his initial designs and drawings would have been of a grander scale with more turrets and a larger size to facilitate both the science and the art, but due to the money at his disposal, I suppose, and costings, and it would have to have been modified somewhat. So he blended beautifully the old with the new, and exactly the point here behind me, his signature turret differentiates the old from the new, but he continued in sympathy with the materials that were used in the existing building, and he actually resurfaced and refaced the entire building with the same red brick for continuity. So we've brought you here just to show you a close-up of the wonderful bronze allegorical figures representing science and art, and the lovely engraving on the wrought iron gates, WHC over my shoulder, which reference the patron William Horatio Crawford. And after that, our own building in 2000 was a further extension was added to it around by the Half Moon Street, and that was by a Dutch designer, and that was to facilitate contemporary art, so a further extension coming full circle to allow more space for the gallery. And what we wanted to also point out was that not only Arthur Hill's designs still stand in Cork today, but also all of what he did for the people in regards to helping to set up the free library and the School of Music and all of the benefits that are now for all of us who live in Cork, we take for granted. An awful lot of these came from his generosity of time that he would have given and that maybe we didn't know about. So we've only scratched the surface of this with our CorkAbout on Arthur Hill. So we're all very much looking forward to Dagmar O'Rian and Richard Wood's upcoming book, The Hill Family, a Cork Architectural Dynasty, which is on the way. And we're looking forward to bringing you a wonderful start to our spring lecture series with Jessica O'Donnell from the Hugh Lane Gallery. And you may remember Jessica, she's previously lectured here in our own lecture hall on Harry Clarke, and she's going to kickstart on Friday the 26th of February our spring lecture series.